this video I'm going to show you how to create an image gallery here in InDesign. Now I've got a document already set up. It's got the intent of digital publishing, so it has the iPad size. And you'll need to make sure that your document is digital publishing in terms of the intent if you're going to do any of this kind of interactive content such as an image gallery. So the first thing I'm going to do is get my rectangle tool, which is located over here, and just draw out a rectangle that covers the whole of the page, and I'm going to fill that rectangle with black. Now the reason I'm doing that is that I think that images look really good on a black background, so I'm just going to make this page black by putting a rectangle over the top. I'm then going to open up my images. I'm going to do Command D to pick up the place, and then I'm going to go to and select 4 images. So I'm going to pick up these 4 here and then click open, and what that will do is it will load up my mouse cursor. I'm going to click and drag out and then use my right arrow key to split that up into 4 boxes, and then in go my images. Now I'm not going to worry about resizing images to fit the frame at the moment. I'm just going to grab each image and just drag it across on top of the other one. So there we go, like that. Now I need to select all 4 images at the same time. The way to do that is just to click and drag over the corner, and that will select all 4 images. Now when you do that, it ends up picking up this rectangle that we drew in the background and moving that, so that becomes really annoying. So I'm just going to do Command Z to undo that. Go to my layers panel window and you'll see the rectangle layer here. I'm just going to lock that in place so that now when I click and drag over these 4 and select all 4 images, it's not going to move and pick up my rectangle in the background. I'm going to hold down the Command and Shift key, and I'm just going to draw out a corner handle, so say somewhere around about there, like that, and there's my images. What I need to do is I'm just going to click and draw out over again to select all 4 images, just going to move them into position, and I feel like they might be a little bit too big, so again just click and drag over all 4 of them, and this time I'm just going to stretch that down a bit so I've got a little bit of room there at the top, and I might also just make them a little bit wider as well. Okay, so I'm just adjusting the image frame there. Okay, the next thing to do is then to right mouse click once they're all selected and go to fitting and tell it that you want to fill the frame proportionally. I'm just going to click off and select all 4 again, just move that into place and just get it roughly where I want it to be. There we go. And just to show you that that has resized all the images, if I just move one out of the way, you'll see that the one behind is exactly the same size and the one behind that will be as well. So I'm just going to place that one back on top. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all 4 images again just by clicking over a corner like that to select all 4 of them. I'm just going to apply some little effects. So I'm going to put a stroke on there. So I'm going to go for this sort of pink effect that we got here and just increase the stroke value so that we can see it as well. Just going to add some border radius. I'm going to hold down the Alt key and click on this option up here, and that's going to set my border radius. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break that link so that we don't have all the settings the same. And on this bottom corner here I'm going to want that to be rounded, and on the top corner I'm going to want that to be rounded, and I think we might put that up to about, let's go for 40 pixels on there and 40 pixels on there, and we'll click OK. And because I had all 4 of my images selected, it applied the stroke to all 4 and it applied the corner radius to all 4 as well. Okay, so now that I've got that in place, now I just want to add some text to the page. So I'm just going to get my type tool here. I'm just going to click and draw out a text area. I'm just going to set the text to be white, otherwise we won't be able to see it on this black background. And then I'm just going to type in the names of the images. So let's just set that to white, and let's just click here. So there we go. Transformers is one that we've got. Okay, so I'm just going to highlight that text and just make it a bit bigger, so that we can clearly see it. There we go. And then I'm just going to do a Command C and Command V to copy that little text area, and then I'm just going to come in and change the text using the type tool. So this time I'm going to go call it minions, and again I'm just going to do a paste again, so Command V, and put in another text box, and then let's get the type tool, and this time I need Simpsons. And then again Command V just to get the last one in, and let's rename that one, which was going to be Jurassic Park. Okay, so I've got some titles in here that match the 4 images. Alright, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to click on each box and just double click the corner, and that will resize the text frame to match the size of the text that's inside of it. Okay, and then what I'm just going to do is just position 1 on one corner, position 1 on another corner, bring it in like that, and then I'm going to select all 4 of them because I need to get them aligned a little bit as well, so let's just bring that in a little bit more. So I'm just going to click and drag my mouse over all four to select all four, and then I'm going to go to the window menu, object and layout, and open up my alignment panel window. And in here I can make sure that they're all aligned to their top edge, and I can make sure they're all distributed evenly so they have an equal space between them. Good, and then I'll just grab those and I'm just going to place them. Again, let's just select all four of them. I'm just going to use my cursor keys now just to nudge them into place so they go exactly where I want. But that's a nice technique there to get these things equally spaced and equally lined up, is using your alignment panel window. Okay, now that we've done that, I'm just going to convert these images into object states. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click and drag over the corner of the images to select all four again, and then I'm just going to go to the window menu and open up interactive and then object states. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make object states. So I'm going to convert the selection, so there should be all four images selected. I'm going to convert those into object states, and you can see that they come in here state 1 to state 4, and as you click on each one you start to see how this slideshow might work. First thing I'm going to do is name this slideshow Universal Studios, because these are all rides found in that theme park, and then I'm going to name each state as well. So to name a state, you just click on it once and then you just give it a name. So this one's going to be Transformers, and then this one is Simpsons. Let's make sure we get that spelt right. And then state 3, one click again, and then state 4 is the Jurassic Park one. There we go, so I've just named all of my states. Okay, the next thing to do is to then use these as buttons, so that when people tap on these pieces of text, the image is going to change and the corresponding image will show according to which button is tapped. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to click on the Transformers one. I'm going to go back to the window menu, back to interactive, and open this time buttons and forms. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say that I want that to be a button, and I'm going to give it the name. So I'm going to call it Transformers, and then it's going to have an action. So I'm going to click on the plus symbol and say that I want it to go to a state. So the state that comes up is the Universal Studios one, and it's coming up with Transformers by default, but of course you could click there and choose any of the 4 states, but it just so happens that it's on the right one for this particular button. Click on the next button. Now I need to set that one, so I'm going to go and say that's a button, give it a name. I'm going to call that Minions, and then again give that an action to go to state, and I want this one to this time go to the Minions, and then let's do the same with the Simpsons. So again button, and let's name it, and then an action, go to state, make sure that we choose here Simpsons, and then the last one again is going to be a button, it's Jurassic Park, and then that's going to have an action as well, go to state, and we will set that one to go to Jurassic Park. Okay, so let's give this a little test and see how it works. So to do that I need to go to File and Folio Preview, and that will launch the Adobe Content Viewer, which allows us to test to see whether this works. So that should just launch that for us. Up comes the Adobe Content Viewer, and in comes my lovely black background look with my nice border around it. So if I click on the Minions, so remember this would be on an iPad, so people will tap. Up comes the Minions, there's the Simpsons, there's Jurassic Park, and back to Transformers. So you can see that that works really, really nicely. Okay, so I'm just going to close that down, and what we're going to do here is we're going to look at how we can add a couple of extra features in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and right mouse click on my rectangle tool here and pick up the polygonal tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double click in place where I want the polygonal tool to go. It will give me the width and the height. I'm not really worried about that, but it's the number of sides that I want. So in this case I actually want 3 sides because that will give me a triangle. So with that triangle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it to have no stroke, and then I'm going to come in here and tell it that I want it to be a white colour, but I don't want it to be that sort of deep sort of white. So what I will do is when I come up here to fill is I'm just going to come here to the opacity of that and just reduce that down, so it's just a little bit of a shade of white. Okay, so what I need to do now is I just need to select it. So I'm just going to get my selection tool here and I'm just going to resize it. There we go, and also I'm going to rotate it. So I'm going to rotate it around. Let's try 90 degrees, and that gets it in the right way. So there we go. So there's a little icon. Just make that a little bit flatter, maybe a little bit taller. There we go, and just put that so that it comes in around about there. Okay, what we're going to do is do a Command C and then a Command V to paste that. I'm just going to grab that one, and that's going to go over here. So I'm just going to use my alignment tools here. So these built-in rulers that just appear automatically, they're called smart guides, and I just need to flip this. So I'm just going to flip it using this option here, flip horizontal. That's just going to set it onto the other side. Let's just get it lined up again so that looks about right there, and there's that button. Okay, so we can now treat these as buttons as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to the window menu and go to interactive again, and then come to buttons and forms. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tell it that this object that I've got selected is actually going to be a button as well, and I'm going to call it previous, and it's going to have an action which is go to the previous state. So I'm going to set it to do that. Okay, so we use Universal Studios. I want it to maybe stop at the first state as well, so I'm going to set that so that when it gets back to the very first image, it will stop at that first image and it won't cycle and do like a loop round to the end image again. So I'm going to tick that option there. Come over here and set this one, so that's going to be a button as well, and I'm just going to set that to be next, and that's going to have an action which is go to next state, and I will get that to stop at the last as well. Okay, so let's have a look and see if that is working. So we need to go to File, Folio Preview, and then we can see whether that is working in the Adobe Content Viewer. Okay, so comes the Adobe Content Viewer, and now we should be able to use these to flick through our images as well, so that we can go backwards and forwards. And then when you get to the final image, you shouldn't be able to click and go any further. It should stop, which is what we set when we put that little tick on there. You can still use these as well, but this is a nice alternative way to go through the options as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close that down there, and then I'm just going to show you another neat little feature as well. So I'm just going to go into the window menu, and I'm just going to go in and pull up our folio overlays. So on our folio overlays, if I select this, object states, just by clicking on it, folio overlays automatically changes into like a slideshow option. And what's really neat about this is that you can get this slideshow to autoplay, so it will start playing straight away. You can set the delay time, so I might go for 3 seconds, so it's a 3-second delay between the showing of each image. You can have it loop, so it goes round and round, and of course it's got this cross fade kind of feature on it, set to 0.5 seconds. I'm going to swipe to change the image, so that means the user can drag their mouse across and flick through the images, and I think that will probably do for the moment. But what this does is it just means now that we've got like an auto cycling going on as you go through this. So let's try that out now. So let's go back to File and Folio Preview. That will launch the Adobe Content Viewer again. And now this time when it comes up, we don't need to do anything. It should automatically start to cycle through the images for us every 3 seconds using a fade. So I'm not clicking at the moment, I'm just allowing this slideshow to automatically play out. But of course users can continue to click these buttons should they wish to, or click these options up here should they wish to. Okay, so one little last thing that I'm just going to show you before we finish on this exercise is I'm just going to come back into these buttons, just go back to Window, go back to Interactive and Buttons and Forms, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a click event. So we don't really have a rollover effect because it's on an iPad. It's not like a web page, there is no rollover, people actually have to tap it. So I'm just going to set a click event by clicking on it, and then I'm going to come in here with my type tool, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the text, hopefully that's inside of there. So let's just select the text, and I'm just going to change the colour to be pink, so it's going to go with that sort of RGB magenta colour. Go to the next button, and I'm just going to set that on the click event as well. So again, we're going to set the colour there. Let's pick up the type tool, let's just select all of that text and set it to be pink. And again, what you could have done for all of this, for all of these kind of features and settings that we're putting here, you could have used object styles, and you could have used paragraph or character styles as well if you'd pre-created those. But I'm just going to go in here and add that in. Again, let's get my type tool and let's just set that to pink as well. There we go. And then finally we want the last one, so let's select that as a button. There we go, and make sure we work on the click layer. That must be active when you go in to set the text color. So I'm just going to double click again and go in and set the color of the text. There we go. Okay, so what I might do as well is I might just come through and just say that initially we want it all to be on the normal state as well. So I'm just going to come through and click each one, just tell them that when we first view it, we want it to be on the normal state. Let's go to File and let's go to Folio Preview and have a look at what that does. So what should happen now is that as this slideshow automatically plays, these should change colour in reflection. So that goes to the Simpsons look, that goes to the Minions, and then this one should go to Jurassic Park, and the colour changes just to indicate what that image is. So that's quite a neat little trick there as well to play with, and that will just get those to go round. Now it should be Transformers, Minions, Simpsons, and then Jurassic Park. You could also set up that on these, because these could have a click event as well, so they could change colour as the image changes as well. But that's a nice little trick there. Now the order isn't quite in the order that I want it in, so I want it to go Transformers, Minions, and at the moment it's jumping around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and select this here, go to Window, go to Interactive, and go to my Object States. And really what I need Transformers, and then I need that followed by Minions. So I'm just going to reorder these, then it's going to be Simpsons and Jurassic Park. So now these should be in the correct order following what the text is up here. So let's just one more final check on that, Folio Preview, and let's see if that now goes in the correct order. So there's a lot of things there that I've shown you. You don't need to make it as advanced as that. You could have just done simple arrows either side. You don't need to use the text, but if you did, you could add that. Now hopefully it's going to go in the correct order, and it is. Look, it's going from Transformers to Minions to Simpsons to Jurassic Park. Remember, you can come here and click these. Still, you can use these to click to go through your slideshow. So that's a really nice way of using an image gallery. And you didn't have to use text here. You could have put in thumbnail images. Exactly the same, you would have done exactly the same thing, just put in thumbnail images here, and then you could have set them as buttons, just like we did with this text. But also what you could have done is you could have set their opacity to start with at 50%, and then when the image appears you could have set it so that on the tap, or it would be on the click event, it was going to be at 100%. So you could use thumbnails and then have your larger images if you wanted that kind of gallery effect.